Hello students, today we have to see Statistical Decision Theory, second unit, lecture 1 for Business Statistics, third paper. The topics are definition of Statistical Decision Theory, terminology, decision making under risk, expected monetary value criteria. We are going to see example and problems. Statistical Decision Theory. There are 16 lectures allocated to this topic. The syllabus is Introduction, Acts, States of Nature, Payoff, Regret, Decision Making under Risk, Expected Monetary Value, Expected Opportunity Loss Criteria, and Expected Monetary Value Criteria. Decision Making under Uncertainty, Maximum Criteria, Minimax Criteria, Max criteria, regret criteria, Laplace criteria, Hurwitz criteria, examples and problems. So there are 16 lectures allocated to this topic. Today we are going to see the first lecture, Statistical Decision Theory. See the definition. Scientific decision making is a well-tried method of reaching at best possible choice for a solution within a reasonable period of time. In performing various functions like planning, controlling, coordinating, etc., a manager has to take several decisions. Decision making is a process of selecting from a set of alternative courses of action that course of action which best meets the objective of the decision problem as compared to the others as judged by the decision maker. In decision making process, various alternatives are developed based on the available data. The following are the steps involved in the decision making process. First, identify the problem to be solved. Second, collect the needed information. Third, assessing and weighing the risk associated with each alternative. And last, selecting a best alternative and implementing decision. So we will see the definition. Decision making involves choice of the best course of action among two or more available alternatives to achieve the objective. Terminology, that are the basic definitions. First definition, the decision maker. The decision maker refers to an individual or a group of individuals responsible for making the choice of an appropriate course of action amongst available courses of action. Next definition, course of action. The alternative course of action or the strategies are the acts that are available to the decision maker. The decision analysis involves a selection amongst two or more alternative courses of action and the problem is to choose the best of these alternatives in order to achieve an objective. Next definition, states of nature. The events identify the occurrences which are outside of the decision maker's control and which determine the level of success for a given act. These events are called as states of nature or outcomes. The decision maker has no control over this event, over which event will take place and can only attach a subjective probabilities or degree of belief of occurrence of each. Next definition, payoff. Each combination of a course of action and a state of nature is associated with payoff, which measures the net benefit to the decision maker that occurs from a given combination of decision alternatives and events. They are also called as conditional profit values or conditional economic consequences. Next definition, regret. It has been defined to be the difference between the highest possible profit for a state of nature and the actual profit obtained from a particular action taken. That is, opportunity loss is the loss incurred due to failure of not adopting the best possible courses of action or strategy. Type of decision making criteria. First is decision making under certainty. Second, decision making under risk. Decision making under certainty. In this case, the decision maker knows with certainty the consequences of selecting every course of action or decision choice. In this type of decision problems, the decision maker presumes that only one state of nature is relevant. His purpose, he identifies this state of nature, takes it for granted, and presumes complete knowledge of its occurrence. Second is decision making under risk. In this situation, the decision maker faces several states of nature, but he is supposed to have believable evidential information, knowledge, experience, or to enable him to assign probability values for the likelihood of occurrence of each state of nature. The technique which is used under such situations is EMV criteria, which is called as expected monetary value criteria. See the example. A certain output is manufactured at rupees 8 and sold at rupees 14 per unit. The product is such that if it is produced but not sold during a day's time, it becomes worthless. The daily sales records in the past are as follows: demand per day and number of days. So demand per day values are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Number of days values are 24, 24, 36, 24 and 12. Find the optimum act. See the solution. First of all, we'll define the acts. Acts are the things which are in our hand. So let A1 is equal to stock of 30 units, A2 stock of 40 units, A3 stock of 50 units, A4 stock of 60 units, A5 stock of 70 units. Events are defined as follows: E1 demand of 30 units, E2 demand of 40 units, E3 demand of 50 units, E4 demand of 60 units, and E5 demand of 70 units. Now we will derive the formula for conditional profit. Conditional profit is equal to selling price minus cost price into items sold minus cost price into items unsold. So as far as this problem is concerned, conditional profit is given as 14 minus 8 into items sold minus 8 into items unsold, which is nothing but 6 into items sold minus 8 into items unsold. So we have been given the table demand per day and number of days. Let us find the probability values. First of all, we will add 24 plus 24 plus 36 plus 24 plus 12, total is 120. So for demand 30, there are 24 days out of 120 days. So the probability becomes 24 upon 120, which is equal to 0.2. For demand 40, again 24 upon 120, the probability becomes 0.2. Demand per day 50 units, 36 upon 120, so the probability becomes 0.3. And demand per day 60 units, again 24 upon 120, the probability is 0.2. And demand per day 70 units, 12 upon 120, which is nothing but 0.1. Now see conditional profit calculations for E1. E1 is nothing but demand of 30 units. So A1 E1, stock of 30 units and demand of 30 units. So conditional profit can be calculated as 6 into 30, which is equal to 180. Because whatever units we have in our hand, all are demanded. So definitely there are no unsold items. So the conditional profit becomes 6 into 30, which is equal to 180. E1 A2, stock of 40 units and demand of 30 units. So whatever is the demand, that many items will be sold. So therefore conditional profit is equal to 6 into 30. 10 items will remain unsold. So minus 10 into 8. So the conditional profit value is equal to 180 minus 80. So answer is 100. E1 A3, stock of 50 units and demand of 30 units. So conditional profit value can be calculated as 6 into 30 minus 8 into 20, because 20 items will remain unsold. So which is nothing but 180 minus 160. So answer is 20. Then E1 A4, stock of 60 units and demand of 30 units. So conditional profit can be calculated as 6 into 30 minus 8 into 30. So which is nothing but 180 minus 240. So answer is minus 60. A1 E5, stock of 70 units and demand of 30 units. So conditional profit is equal to 6 into 30 minus 8 into 40. 40 units will remain unsold. So answer becomes 180 minus 320, which is equal to minus 140. Now conditional profit calculations for E2. E2 means demand of 40 units and stock of 30 units. E2 A1. Though the demand is of 40 units, we have only 30 units to sell. Therefore, conditional profit is given as 6 into 30 minus 8 into 0. So answer is 180. E2 A2. Demand of 40 units and stock of 40 units. On 1 unit we are getting the profit of 6 rupees. So 6 into 40. So whatever units we have, all will get sold because demand is 40 and stock is 40. So the conditional profit value becomes 240. E2 A3. Demand of 40 units and stock of 50 units. So naturally 10 units will remain unsold. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 40 minus 8 into 10. So 240 minus 80. So answer is 160. E2 A4. Demand of 40 units and stock of 60 units. So naturally 20 units will remain unsold. So conditional profit can be considered as 6 into 40 minus 8 into 20, which is equal to 240 minus 160. Answer is 80. E2 A5. Demand of 40 units and stock of 70 units. So naturally 30 items will remain unsold. So conditional profit can be written as 6 into 40 minus 8 into 30. So that is nothing but 240 minus 240. The answer is 0. So calculations of conditional profit for E3 Act. E3 A1. E3 stands for demand of 50 units and A1 stands for stock of 30 units. So conditional profit is equal to 6 into 30 minus 8 into 0. So answer is 180 rupees. E3 A2 demand of 50 units and stock of 40 units. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 40 minus 8 into 0, which is nothing but 240. E3 A3 demand of 50 units and stock of 50 units. So conditional profit is equal to 6 into 50 minus 8 into 0. So answer is 300. E3 A4 demand of 50 units and stock of 60 units. So 10 items will remain unsold. Conditional profit is given as 6 into 50 minus 8 into 10, which is nothing but 300 minus 80. So answer is 220. E3 A5 demand of 50 units and stock of 70 units. So 20 units will remain unsold. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 50 minus 8 into 20, which is nothing but 300 minus 160. Answer is 140. Calculations for E4. Conditional profit calculations of E4. E4 A1 demand of 60 units and stock of 30 units. So naturally only 30 units can be sold. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 30, which is equal to 180. E4 A2 demand of 60 units and stock of 40 units. So naturally only 40 units can be sold. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 40, which is nothing but 240. E4 A3 demand of 60 and stock of 50 units. So 6 into 50 minus 8 into 0, because we have stock of 50 units only. Though the demand is 60, stock is of 50 units, so we can sell only 50 units. So 6 into 50, the answer becomes 300. E4 A4 demand of 60 and stock of 60. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 60, that is equal to 360. E4 A5 demand of 60 units and stock of 70 units. So naturally 10 units will remain unsold. So 6 into 60 minus 8 into 10. So the answer is given as 360 minus 80, which is equal to 280. Now conditional profit calculations for E5. E5 means demand of 70 and stock of 30 units. So only 30 units can be sold. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 30, which is equal to 180. E5 A2 demand of 70 units and stock of 40 units. So only 40 units can be sold. So 6 into 40, conditional profit is given as 6 into 40, which is equal to 240. E5 A3 demand of 70 units and stock of 50 units. So conditional profit is equal to 6 into 50. So that is nothing but rupees 300. E5 A4 demand of 70 units and stock of 60 units. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 60 minus 8 into 0. The answer becomes 360. E5 A5 demand of 70 units and stock of 70 units. So conditional profit is given as 6 into 70, which is nothing but 420. So we can write the conditional profit table as E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. Probability we already have calculated these values: A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Whatever calculations we have done, we will put it in the tabular form as 180, 180, 180, 180, 180, 100, 240, 240, 240, 240. So 20, 160, 300, 300, 300, minus 60, 80, 220, 360, 360, minus 140, 0, 140, 280, 420. Now after getting these values, we will find expected profit table. So in the previous table, if you multiply every value with the respective probability, we are going to get expected profit. So 0.2 into 180 becomes 36. So multiply every value with the respective probability and write down in the expected profit table to get the values as 36, 36, 54. How do you get this 54? 0.3 into 180 becomes 54. 0.2 into 180 becomes 36. 0.1 into 180 becomes 18. So 36, 36, 54, 36, 18. Then we will find expected monetary value by adding the values column wise. So expected monetary value values are 180, 212, 216, 178 and 112. Amongst these expected monetary values, we will pick up the maximum value, which is nothing but maximum value of EMP is equal to EMP star, which is nothing but rupees 216. Therefore, optimum act is A3, that is to stock 50 units to get maximum profit of rupees 216.